He recounted that each yam he touched caused him to grow in size. Panicked and unable to control his expansion, his friends abandoned him, leaving him to face the villagers' shock and disbelief as he grew into a huge giant. Akidi, the cursed giant. Once upon a time, in one peaceful village, there lived a man named Akidi. The villagers lived harmoniously, tending to their farms, raising their families, and sharing in the simple joys of life. However, one fateful morning, the tranquility of the village was shattered when the inhabitants awoke to discover that their belongings had vanished in the dead of the night. This unexpected turn of events sent shockwaves through the community, leaving families confused and devastated. As the villagers rallied to investigate the mysterious theft, they found themselves at a loss, unable to ascertain the identity of the culprits responsible for the robbery. Time passed, and the memory of the theft gradually faded as life in the village resumed its normal rhythm. Several months later, history repeated itself once again. The villagers found themselves prey to another burglary. This time, the village head commanded the youth to comb the entire settlement in search of the stolen items, vowing that the perpetrator would face grave consequences. Despite their efforts, the elusive thief remained at large, leaving the villagers frustrated and fearful. This strange occurrence continued until one fateful morning when the people awoke to find Akidi outside his house, unable to fit through the door as he had grown into a giant, and his excess size prevented him from entering any dwelling in the village. Confused and fearful, the villagers wondered about the cause of Akidi's transformation, with many attributing it to the displeasure of the ancestors. Summoned before the king, Akidi remained silent, refusing to offer any explanation for his extraordinary condition. Unwilling to tolerate such an anomaly within its midst, the king decreed that Akidi be banished from the village. As the villagers escorted Akidi to the outskirts, they found themselves unable to carry out the king's command, as some unseen forces prevented him from leaving the village. Struggling to remove him, they witnessed Akidi's body deform in anguish, prompting him to plead to be brought before the king to make a confession. Once back in the royal presence, Akidi began to unravel the truth of the village's troubling robberies. He confessed that upon returning from the city, he had brought with him not only material possessions, but also a hidden plan to disturb the tranquility of the village. Gripped by guilt and remorse, Akidi revealed the details of his criminal actions, recounting how he had organized the theft, unleashing a chain of events that had led to his own horrible transformation. He was notorious for his daring robbery, often narrowly escaping the clutches of the law. However, his luck eventually ran out and he had to flee to the village to escape the consequences of his last escapade. In the village, Akidi's thieving ways continued as he carefully observed the villagers' routines, planning and executing his robberies without getting caught. To everyone's surprise, he was even at the forefront of the investigations, drawing suspicion away from himself and ensuring that the stolen goods remained hidden. Akidi recounted even collaborating with friends from a neighboring village to sell off the stolen items. However, his most faithful encounter occurred when he targeted a yam barn belonging to the Ndiakpa compound, expecting to steal the yams and add them to his collection of stolen goods. He recounted that each yam he touched caused him to grow in size. Panicked and unable to control his expansion, his friends abandoned him, leaving him to face the villagers' shock and disbelief as he grew into a huge giant. Unsure of how to reverse his transformation, Akidi sought refuge in his home until morning when the villagers discovered him. The king, after listening to the confession, summoned the chief priest, who revealed a long-kept secret about the yam barn. The elders of Ndiakpa had enchanted the yams, ensuring that anyone who stole from the barn would suffer a fearsome consequence. Given the choice of punishment, the chief priest asked Akidi to decide between remaining a giant for the rest of his days, serving as a reminder of his misdeeds for future generations, or returning to his normal size but facing instant death. After much contemplation, he chose to remain a giant forever, serving as a warning in the village, and his giant figure stood as a reminder of the consequences of his actions. This is Umma's story time. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I am Amarachi Ihoma, the young storyteller.